morning, New Orleans. Good morning, good morning, good morning. This is Conversations with Ron Richardson on WBOK 1230 AM, WBOK1230.com. I am back for another great episode of Conversations with Ron Richardson. And I would like to introduce my special guest host, Miss Sherry Smith. Sherry, how are you?
I'm good. How are you? Thanks for inviting me to the conversation.
Welcome to the show. And I would also like to introduce two of my favorite people, Miss Sonia and Tonya Freeman. How are you ladies doing?
We great this morning. How are you?
I'm hanging. How have you been?
We've been good. Lots going on, and just happy to be here. Had the invitation to share what's going on in our lives. Yes.
We always find a way to reconnect sometime and, talk to each other, right?
Yep.
All right. So I want you two ladies to introduce yourselves. Sherry's joining me. She's going to be a part of the conversation today and tell my listening audience here at WBOK 1230 why you guys are here. And Tanya, I know you're a very busy woman. You wear many, many hats, and I want to just talk about some of the things that you got going on new.
Okay. Well, first off, once again, thank you for being here. It's my first time in the studio. So I'm not wearing cans on my head. So it's kind of strange to be speaking to you from where, we usually in a more intimate setting, but I really appreciate being here today. My name is Tanya Freeman Brown. I'm a native New Orleanian. And as you said, I wear a lot of hats.
You do?
But I want to pass the mic to my sister so she can introduce herself.
All right.
Good.
Go ahead.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Ron Rich. How are you?
I'm all right.
Hi, Sherry.
Hi, how are you?
I'm well.
Hey, Sherry.
Thank
I'm
you.
sorry.
Thank you. My name is
It's all
Tanya
right.
Freeman. I am Tanya Freeman Brown's identical twin sister.
Double vision.
And of course, I'm happy to be here.
Yeah.
I didn't know that I was going to be here a week ago until Tanya said, "Oh, you want to be on the show?"
Really?
Okay. Why not? So I'm here.
All right, Tanya, man. How have you been, first of all?
I've been well, going through life and changes, ebbs and flows. I've been working on myself, meaning my own personal, emotional, spiritual development. And it's been a ride.
All right, I want to start off with your backstory. We've been knowing each other for some time, but my new listening audience here at WBOK is still trying to get to know me. So we know you're a breast cancer survivor. So why don't you expound on your experiences with breast cancer and how you overcame the disease?
Okay. Back in February 17th of, I think that was 2009, I felt a lump at the 12 o'clock position on my right breast. And of course, I was alarmed. The first thing came to my mind was cancer, right? Because, that's what we associate with any type of growth. It could have been benign, but I didn't know. So I ended up not sharing it with anyone. I may have told one person and then decided to go to my doctor and get it checked. Breast exams are very important. And at that time, I immediately felt it and was aware. So I stepped into action, went to my doctor. My doctor was out of the country, so her partner examined me, gave me two things. She gave me a card for a surgeon, a general surgeon, and a prescription for a diagnostic mammogram. And at that moment, I'm panicking, and I said, should I panic or should I be calm? She said, just be calm because we don't know what's going on.
Of course.
And of course, it took about a week for me to get a mammogram. Once I got the mammogram, once I had the visit with the surgeon, I received some information about a what was it? Biopsy. So I had to get a needle core biopsy, which is this needle. I had to lay on my stomach, and there was this opening on the table, and my breast tissue was in the hole, and there was this machine underneath that guided a needle into the area they mapped out so they can take a tissue sample of the solid tumor.
Right.
It was painful, and I had 3 areas that were a cause of concern. So they wanted to take tissue samples for 3 areas. And Ron Rich, let's be real,
Mhm.
I don't have a lot of breast tissue.
Right.
So for them to do that, it was very uncomfortable and it was painful. So I went through with it. He was trying to get the third sample. I stopped him. I said, I said an expletive, and then I said, you're going to have to stop. If you didn't get what you needed now, you're not going to get it. I think you have enough.
Right.
Mm.
So we actually went through that process. I was traumatized. I didn't know how much I was traumatized until I received the diagnosis on February 17th, 2009, of breast cancer. Didn't stage it or anything like that. They immediately wanted me to go, you're having a mastectomy. That's it. I decided, no, we're not going to have a mastectomy. I need more information. I need more time. So you're not going to rush me through a process like they try to do us in the medical industrial complex. I'm not saying that it's a place that we should be afraid of, but it's a place where you get to advocate for yourself and
Right.
what you want to see happen in your healing journey.
And that's the thing. You and I've had many past interviews that we did together, and we always talk about the medical field and advocating for yourself. And one thing that I always loved about you is when we first met, and I explained my situation to you about being born with cerebral palsy. You said, Ryan, start advocating for yourself. It took me a while to get there, but I owe a lot to you because you were one of the ones who gave me the courage to start putting my story out there.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
It's important that people hear your story because there's no other story like yours.
right,
There may be thousands of people with CP, but everybody has a different story.
right. And for those of you that don't know and who are just tuning into my show, I've only been on the air over here a couple of weeks. I was born with cerebral palsy, spastic diplegia, and it affects the muscles in my lower extremities. And Tanya was my massage therapist at one point in time, right?
Yes, sir.
And you work wonders. But I want to uh, touch on the status of your breast cancer at that particular time. And I want to ask you, how did that affect you mentally when you found out that, you had it, but you weren't sure and they weren't sure?
I think for me, having received the diagnosis and
Hmm.
really wasn't sure if I wanted to go through the process of a mastectomy, which I know recovery times vary from person to person depending on your baseline health.
Right.
My baseline health, as I was told by my third opinion, which I went through, I went with that doctor.
Hmm.
I actually canceled my surgery twice
Really?
because there was something inside of me that said, "Don't do it, don't go
Hmm.
through it." And I was afraid, but I listened.
Hmm.
And my sister was with me. She could tell you her version of events because I have my perspective as the one going through it.
Hmm.
She has her perspective as the supporter and the
Mm-hmm.
caregiver.
So I want to kick it over to Sonia, and I want to ask you, what were your thoughts at that particular time?
Well, at that time, I was at the brink or embarking on a nursing degree.
Okay.
And I was in my last semester
Really?
when we received the news. And I told Tanya, it's going to be okay. I had an instance of where I located lumps in my breast, and I was in high school at the time.
Hmm.
Of course, they were benign, but because of, I guess, the way our anatomy is and our makeup, our breasts were lumpy. So I wanted to just throw that in, but I was there to support her anyway. Whatever decision she made, I supported it, whether I agreed with it or not, because this was her journey.
Right.
But I did tell her, I said, you need to get another opinion.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And as a nurse, now, I mean, I'm 16 years in now,
Right.
I would tell patients, caregivers, family members get second opinions. If you
Third
need to get a
opinions
third
too,
opinion, get a third opinion
or fourth.
Right.
or fourth, because you need to
Yes,
get the bigger
exactly.
picture and not feel rushed or shamed into making a decision that is going to affect your life.
Right.
It's very
Right.
important to get all of the, at least as much information as you possibly can. And if you can find someone that's in the system that can advocate for you as a nurse,
Mm-hmm.
that's part of my job, is to advocate for my patients. That is a very crucial in the healing journey.
Sherry.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, I think
Yeah.
it's really important what you ladies are saying about listening to your body and then advocating for yourself because, as we all know, this is not unknown. When it comes to us, women of color, when we go in for medical treatment, or so sometimes when we give our symptoms or we say that we're feeling a certain amount of pain, sometimes we're ignored. They're thinking we're
Yes.
overreacting. So
Mm.
it's very important that you do indeed know what your body is telling you, listen to what your body is telling you, and get a physician or a medical crew that is going to pay attention to what you are saying because just like we're all different in our stories of how you may go through cancer, we are also different in how our bodies react to certain things. And so for sometimes we get misplaced, and unfortunately, we're on the low end of the totem pole, so to speak, where sometimes they don't listen to us soon enough, and as a result of that, then sometimes we have devastating results.
Yes.
Yeah,
And
and that's the thing I find too. I've shared with you a lot of personal things, and Sherry as well. And I also find that as a male, you know, doctors don't listen to you, and they just automatically want to put you on a medication without giving you any rhyme or reason to why this medication is going to exist in your life now, right?
right.
Exactly.
So continue on your journey and tell us after you find out, after you went through the whole testing and different things like that, what were some of your next steps that you took to start your healing process?
So the next step was I was going to go through a natural course of treatment at the Hippocrates Health Institute in Florida. I actually
Hmm.
have some money there still, and I don't know if it's good, but but it's
Right.
expensive to do these treatments and natural therapies that the medical industrial complex will not recommend because it's not tested.
Hmm.
But we know before allopathic medicine, there were holistic treatments
Treatment.
and therapies, ancient therapies that a lot
Yes.
of us aren't aware of, but we are aware of them now. So it's been 16 years since I went through chemo,
Hmm.
radiation, and I had surgery for a lumpectomy. The third opinion, the doctor, Dr. Lauren Schnapper, Greater Baltimore Medical Center.
Hmm.
I love that woman because she listened to me. And to
Mhm.
be frank, she was a Caucasian.
Right.
She's a Jewish woman, right?
Right. Right.
And
Mhm.
it didn't matter what she looked like. She was a professional
Hmm.
and she
Yes.
listened. She listened. And even though there's a lot of arrogance in the medical community because of
Indeed.
the doctor
Hmm.
thing, I don't know what it is. You playing God with people's lives. But even as a doctor, you're still educating yourself. It's
Yes.
recurrent training and recurrent education. And you're learning your patient. And it should teach you in med school how to interact with people of different walks of life.
Hmm.
And I don't know if
Yes.
they do that or not, but Dr. Lauren Schnapper did. And she listened to me because I had a previous journey with my husband who had cancer and he subsequently passed away. And it was a process. He was a professor at Xavier,
Hmm.
here at Xavier University.
Right.
I'm a Xavier right as well.
Okay.
He went through central nervous system lymphoma, was a terminal brain tumor, inoperable. So I watched it as a caregiver. So I had to advocate for him. He advocated for himself because he was a pharmacist.
Hmm.
He knew his path and where it was going to end.
Mhm.
8 years later, when I received my diagnosis, I was in disbelief. I said, I don't know. I know I can't cuss on the radio, but
Right.
I'm like, what the hell is
Right.
going on?
Right.
I'm like,
Right.
why me? You know? So Dr. Lauren Schnapper had that information because she took the time to speak to me. So she knew I was educated.
Mhm.
She knew I was going to do my research, and she knew my story. She knew I had gone through two opinions before I got to her.
Mhm.
And I found her based upon a conversation I was having with another person. So I was connected to people I didn't know who was going to be there for me.
Right.
And that's the beauty of God and the beauty of spirit in
Yes.
our lives and the connections that we have. So she recommended Dr. Lauren Schnapper, introduced me to one of her students who was a medical oncologist, Dr. Robert Dunnigan. Dr. Dunnigan and they met and they talked it over with me and said, hey, we can try chemotherapy first, which they call neoadjuvant therapy.
So you know we got a lot more we got to talk about. All right, you gonna hang?
I know I go on and on.
All right, man, we got to go to our first break. This is Conversations with Ryan Richardson on WBOK 1230 AM, streaming worldwide on WBOK1230.com. See you in a sec. Oh, you know what? Drop us a line. Give us a call. 504-582-9422. 504-582-9422. We'll be right back after this. Stay tuned.
Hey everybody, it's Graylin Bryant Banks
And Kimber White Dupree.
from the front porch.
Some combos are too good to miss. Now you can pull up a chair to the front porch anytime.
Just search WBOK Media and subscribe to the Front Porch Podcast.
Download, share, and hit us with a 5-star rating because New Orleans culture deserves to be heard loud and clear.
Hey family, Ron Richardson here, host of Conversations with Ron Richardson. If you're looking for quality catering and barbecue, you need to contact my friends at Kuzan's Catering and Barbecue Team. Mr. Eddie Bunch and Kuzan's have been serving the West Bank since 2013 with their quality selection of barbecue and seafood. If you're looking for quality catering, be sure to contact Kuzan's Catering, located at 618 Westwood Drive in Marrero, or you can go to kuzansonline.com for more information for all the services that they offer, or call 504-233-4227. Catering done the right way just for you. That's Kuzan's, baby.
The Tuskegee Airmen Flight Academy of New Orleans is soaring into its second year and looking for Orleans Parish High School students that are interested in aviation. Applications are now being accepted at nolaredtails.org through May 19th. Again, the website is nolaredtails.org. The Tuskegee Airmen Flight Academy of New Orleans, where the sky is no longer the limit.
Are you passionate about community safety and police accountability? Tune in to The Monitor's Mic, where we talk about oversight, policing, and you. Hosted by the Office of Independent Police Monitor, we're here to shine a light on policing issues that matter, from real-time policing updates to in-depth interviews. Get the facts and stay informed. We're breaking down complex issues, highlighting community voices, and holding people behind the badge accountable. Join us for an informative hour every Friday at noon on WBOK. Your city, your police, your show. The Monitor's Mic.
The legendary Broadway show is back. The Wiz. The Chicago Tribune raves. It's an eye-popping, high-intensity revival and a cause for celebration. The music, the voices, the legend returns. Entertainment Weekly says, run, don't ease on down to this spectacular revival. The Wiz. Playing the Sanger Theater May 13th through 18th. Tickets at BroadwayInNewOrleans.com.
Visit DePaul's new Algiers Health Center at 2801 General de Gaulle Drive to receive primary and preventive care for both adults and children. Services also include behavioral health, imaging, and on-site pharmacy, vision, Medicaid enrollment assistance, and more. For appointments, visit DePaulCommunityHealthCenters.org or call 504-207-3060.
New Orleans, you want to know what we're talking about? Tune in every Saturday morning from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. on WBOK for Conversations with Ron Richardson. The topics will always be hot and the conversation will be all the way live. Meet us there. We'll save you a seat. We can also talk about you and your business as a sponsor of Conversations with Ron Richardson. Contact Ron at 504-874-4584 or email him at richardsonronald024@gmail.com for more details.
WBOK, online at WBOK1230.com.
It's the place where we can be open and honest about real life issues. You're listening to Conversations with Ron Richardson, live on WBOK and online at WBOK1230.com.
Welcome back. This is Conversations with Ron Richardson on WBOK 1230 AM, WBOK1230.com, streaming worldwide. We're also on YouTube. Remember, guys, if you want to find out what's going on in my life, you can follow me on Facebook. Just search for the Ron Richardson or Ron Rich Facebook page. Or you can also find me and follow me on Instagram. Just search for Ronald_Richardson_Jr. On Instagram, I also have a secondary Instagram page, Ronnie_Richardson_Jr. on Instagram. And I have my co-host, Miss Sherry Smith. Sherry, how are you?
I'm doing well, enjoying the conversation and ready to dive into more of it.
All right. And we have Miss Sonia Antonia Freeman, affectionately known to me as Double Vision. How are you?
I'm good.
So I want to jump back into the conversation before we went to break, and I want to continue talking about your mental aspect and how that affected you. So I wanted you to finish your thoughts on that.
Okay, so I think I left off with Dr. Robert Dunnigan, who was my medical oncologist, and he and Dr. Lauren Schnapper of Greater Baltimore Medical Center decided to give me an option of going through chemotherapy first with the hopes of shrinking the tumor. I went through that. The tumor shrunk while I was going through chemo. Lost my hair in every place you could imagine, even in my ears, which affected my hearing long term.
Really?
Yes. I wear hearing aids now because all of the hair in my ears that kind of buffers the sound. I was standing near the hair went away, but I was standing near a speaker at Bullets one night.
Okay.
And Kermit Ruffins was playing, and the speaker blew out my ear. Usually when you're in a club,
really,
and the music's loud, your ears start ringing, and you walk out, it rebounds, but it didn't rebound for me.
Right.
So over time, I had the ringing and the what they call tinnitus, and then I went back to read the package insert of one of the chemotherapy agents, and it said ototoxicity. Sonia, what's ototoxicity?
Please.
She put me on the spot. So ototoxicity is when a chemotherapy agent affects your hearing. And it's toxic to your hearing, so it affects everything going on within the ear canal, things like that. I don't know like the specific pathophysiology, but it affects your hearing. Yes.
Thank you for
that.
that.
So that means you could potentially have hearing loss.
So basically, and I'm not taking shots at the medical field or the medications that they use for cancer and what have you, but it's almost like they're putting poison in your system to get rid of the disease.
Poison in your system.
Yeah.
That's it. That's exactly what it is.
It's poison to get rid of a poison, and with side effects that could create other issues. And I think most people have to understand that if you receive a diagnosis of cancer and you have other things going on in your life, other medical situations, it can create more issues for you. So going back to myself, mentally and emotionally, I was dealing with a lot. But I believe that all the prayers and all the decree work, all of the affirmations, all of the things that I did before, I was diagnosed, helped me to mentally to go through it. It was tough. It was a hard ass thing to do.
You can say that. Yeah.
It's hard ass, and I had to prove to myself. I said I'm not going out like that,
Right.
like this.
Right.
This is not going to be my journey. Death is not my journey.
An option, huh?
It's not an option for
Not,
me,
not at
Sherry.
that
It's
moment.
not. And I was adamant. I was determined. I'm going to get through this, but it kicked my ass.
Right.
It was an initiation of sorts, and I didn't know that then. But looking back on it, 16 years later, 24 years later after my husband transitioned, I was dealing with grief, unresolved emotions, unresolved
Mm-hmm.
pain, unresolved of decisions I had made way before the cancer. So I was working on breast cancer for years.
Right. And it just manifested into your body.
Yes.
Right.
Yes, because things that we hold grief, we hold anger, we hold disappointments, and it was around my heart.
Really.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's true what they say. What we speak can come into existence. You know,
Yes.
and I learned that from you. You would always tell me, Ron, don't speak negatively. Always think positive. Manifest the things that you want. Not saying that you wanted cancer, but dealing with the things that you were dealing with, it helped manifest in your body and push the cancer along.
Yeah, we are complex beings. We are actually
Indeed.
so powerful that if you don't know, you're not tuning into yourself, you don't know the principles of the world, of the universe, if you are not seeking and putting yourself first, because we come in here pretty much pure, as a child with wonder and everything, but you become conditioned by the world, you become beat up by the world, don't know what your family situations are, you're affected by that, and as a child, you are a sponge, you absorb people's energies. If you don't know how to manage that, a lot of that stuff you can receive and can become your own.
Yeah,
That's
I
what.
don't think that a lot of people understand that your body is exactly what you said. It's a sponge, so you can put in good or you can put in bad. The body is not discerning that, but it will take whatever you give it. So you're right. You have to be really alert about what you are feeding yourself, your mental state, your physical. You have to be mindful of that because the body's going to take in whatever you put in, whatever you allow in. So you have to be the gatekeeper of what comes into your
Yes.
sphere
Yes.
of your life.
Yes. Your
And-
mental body, your emotional body, your
Yes.
spiritual body. Sonia,
And may I also, this is Sonia speaking, and may I also add to what Ron said about what you speak, you can manifest what you think, which is even more powerful because
Yes.
our thoughts are transmitting. It's all
Yes.
energy and how you feel.
Yes.
Also, I mean, it's like a triad. How you speak, what you speak, how you think, and how you feel. And we are manifestation machines, really.
Really.
And sometimes we manifest with intention, and most times we
Mhm.
manifest by default.
By default.
And
Yes.
we don't realize, as Tanya said, how powerful we are. But I think now we're in an era where we're recognizing and we're reclaiming and taking back our power.
Yes.
Sonia, can I ask you a question? Because I know there's this twin thing that they always talk about. I have a lot of twins in my family, and I also lost my mother to cancer too. So when you're a caregiver
Sorry.
and you're going through that with someone who is actually your identical you, how is that for you?
Oh, it was crushing because we've been together since in utero, right?
Yep.
When we
Yes.
didn't know we were together.
Right.
And then when we realized that, okay, we were created together, we went through the gestation period together. We were birthed, not together, one at a
One at a
time.
time.
But
Yes.
it was devastating to me because what's going on? So then I had to realize, all right, we need to support one another
Mm-hmm.
in any and every way. And we've been exposed to alternative therapies and ways of living outside of allopathic medicine and things like that. And I encouraged Tanya, she mentioned earlier about going to Hippocrates in Florida. And I
Yes.
said, whatever route you take, I'll support you. Of course, my mom wasn't feeling that. In fact, she said if anything happened to Tanya, that she would
I'll blame
blame
you.
me. She blamed me. I said, wait a minute.
All right, and that was going to be my next question. You know, being that you guys are twin sisters, uh, did you feel anything physically?
Physically,
I was going to ask the same thing. Did
Yeah.
you feel anything what her
right,
sister felt?
right. I'm not sure if I felt anything. I think maybe I did,
Okay.
but I wasn't aware. I don't
Mhm.
think that I was really in tune. When you're a twin, it's like it's having a sibling, but it's like having another sibling. You know what I mean?
And you know what?
Yes.
I'm just throwing this out there, but can people tell y'all apart?
Yes.
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Sometimes.
Because like I had to do a double take when y'all first walked in. I'm like, okay, which one is which? Oh,
Really?
but
Come
I
on,
mean,
Ron.
when I looked, I was like,
Okay. I give you the benefit of the doubt.
true.
Hmm.
I give it to
But
you.
nonetheless, back to the conversation. So you said you didn't know if you felt anything or you didn't realize it at the time, but you probably did.
I probably did.
Right.
Excuse me. I think what I felt was the emotional, I won't call it turmoil, but the emotional unrest.
Emotional unrest. Break that down for us, man.
Oh,
In your words.
well, I felt Tanya's emotional unrest because it's like the uncertainty of it. That's at the moment, how I can describe it.
Right.
The
Yes.
uncertainty, what is the prognosis? How do you traverse the journey of breast cancer or any
Mhm.
type of dis-ease for that matter? Because as Tanya said earlier, this just didn't pop up overnight.
Right.
It was a process, and our bodies are so wonderfully made in that whatever was going on in that breast, it sealed off. The body in its infinite wisdom sealed that off to protect her from something else. And it could have been,
Yes.
our lives, we have the environmental toxins and we have the internal toxins too. You have your hormones, you have adrenaline and things like that. And when we don't have the emotional intelligence and the intellectual intelligence to work through challenges in our lives, and we just go off the rails, that can
Mhm.
contribute to illness and disease in our bodies. So we must be mindful of how we're feeling. And so that was a lesson
You're
for
dropping
me.
gems this morning, man.
Thank
really are.
you. Thank you. It's just coming to me, so I'm speaking.
That's all good.
But thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, when
That leads me
Sonya,
to a.
I'm sorry,
Go
Sherry.
ahead. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I real quick, when Sonya mentioned hormones, um, we are all divine channels. That's another conversation for another day. But in this context, she
But you know
mentioned
we always,
hormones.
yeah. Go ahead.
And I'm about to be transparent here, and I don't care because it's my story and I'm gonna stick to it. And I've learned not to judge myself for the decisions that I made. I used to judge myself. I used to beat myself up. When I was young, I grew up in church, and I was a choir director in church. So there was just these ways of piety and of perfection and all these things, right?
Yeah.
And when I was a teenager in college, I started birth control. Sonya mentioned hormones. I didn't do my research on birth control pills. I didn't know what the long-term side effects of birth control pills. And I was on and off with them. Twice in my life, I made decisions to terminate pregnancies. Twice.
Mhm.
And I know this is just not my story, but stories of about, with women around the country and around the world.
Right.
And that was a
Yes.
decision I made and a decision I had to live with the emotional impacts and the physical impacts. But going back to what Sonya's saying, I'm going to tie it all together. When you're manipulating hormones, with birth control pills, when you're manipulating hormones with terminated pregnancies for whatever reason, your body is going through emotional and physical changes. And I
Yes.
was imbalanced, right? And I feel also energetically that I inherited the imbalances of women who came before us that were passed down to us. Anger about being a woman, anger about being molested, anger about being raped, anger about being a woman and not listened to in this world. So
Mm-hmm.
we harbor in all those things that break our hearts, failed relationships that break our hearts, divorce, death of a spouse. We carry these things if we don't know the processes to release the things.
Yes.
And it influences the stress hormones, influences, and it wreaks havoc inside the body on a cellular level.
Yes.
And all of that, I said it was a lot because we can break that down.
Right, right.
But when Sonia said hormones, we dealt with hormonal imbalances since I can remember. And I believe that that was a precursor for cancer for me.
Wow.
Right. Right.
It's amazing, man.
Neurological damage. Yes.
You never really think that the trauma you faced as a child and teenager would affect you later on in life.
Yeah.
I just recently started my mental health journey by getting myself into therapy because, let's be real, a lot of times you cannot come to your family, uh, you know, with certain things. And it was really hard for me as a male to sit down and say, hey, I have a problem, and I need help.
Yeah.
And I can remember this. I've only been in therapy for a little over 6 months. I can remember going in there, and I don't know how other clinics do it, but they literally check everything. They take your blood to see if you have any kind of imbalances. And I was like, man, I don't want to do this, And even with the first therapist that I encountered and I started talking to, we didn't mesh, we didn't gel. So I was really discouraged. And I said, you know what? I could just deal with whatever I'm dealing with on my own. And something in me clicked and I said, try again. So I went back for another session, and the therapist I have now, we just kind of opened up and just clicked, and everything is, I'm not going to say better, but I'm learning how to control my emotions. I'm learning how to just channel my energy better and to do better things. But a lot of people, male and female, don't want the help, or they're too afraid that somebody's going to judge them because they're in counseling or they're in therapy, or they're just trying to make themselves better. So what are your thoughts on that also?
Ask that question one more time.
So just what are your thoughts? I know it was a loaded question, but did you, at any point in time, did you say, okay, I'm going to get therapy, I'm going to get some help to deal with the emotions that you were dealing with?
Ooh.
And the thoughts?
I've gone through therapy, not necessarily sitting on the couch. I've done it off and on in my life. But what I have done was spiritual and personal development, workshops,
Okay.
journaling, affirmations, I had become my own spiritual practitioner because at the time I had left the Baptist church and went to the Divine Science Church, which metaphysics, which really teaches you things that are above the things that we think we know about ourselves. And I became more acquainted with energy and how that is, how I'm a light being, I'm an energetic being, and that I'm responsible for what I speak, what I think, and how I feel. I have a responsibility to myself because I am a living manifestation of God on earth.
Right.
So we have to be responsible. So in terms of therapy, I had to go into the principles of the Bible and what do they mean on a basic level. not the hellfire brimstone, but the power and the empowering parts of it.
Right.
That was my therapy. I'm not saying don't go to a therapist. I think we should. I am looking for one right now, and I found one, but I haven't pulled that trigger yet. But a lot of it is introspection for me and owning my sugar, honey, iced tea. You know what I mean?
Right.
Owning myself, owning
Right.
my craziness and my emotional disruptions and imbalances, and not judging that, and being easy with myself and loving myself, fearlessly loving myself. Everything, all of my choices, all of the experiences make me who I am. They've all initiations to do greater works, which is something that why we're also here, my sister and I, because we have a wealth of experience. We do multiple things, many things. And as a result of the breast cancer experience, I lost my job. I didn't really lose it. I was glad that they fired me.
Right.
Because, and I didn't even want to sue them because wasn't worth it. Right? I needed the break. I needed the time to heal. I needed the time to go through the process. A lot of people don't have that opportunity, but I did. And I was able to find massage therapy and enroll into a massage therapy school where I learned a lot of things about energy healing and sound therapy and therapy, period.
All right, so we got to go to our second break. We're going to touch on all that and more when we come back, all right?
All right.
All right, this is Conversations with Ron Richardson on WBOK 1230 AM, WBOK1230.com, streaming worldwide. I have Double Vision, Sonia and Tonya Freeman in WBOK studios with me today, and also my great co-host, Miss Sherry Smith. We'll be right back after this. Stay tuned, guys.
Are you ready? A fresh voice in the city is here, bringing you the beats, the culture, and the stories that matter. From local music and food to real talk on what's happening in the streets. We've got you covered. Stay tapped in. Follow us on all platforms at WBOK 1230 for the latest updates and exclusive content. Your city, your culture, your news. Don't just hear about it, be about it. Follow WBOK 1230 now.
Ron Richardson here. If you are like me, that means you love the feeling of getting a fresh haircut and shave. If you do, then you should check out my friends Eddie and Dana Bunch at First Impressions Barber and Beauty Salon, specializing in hairstyles for men, women, and children. If you want to make a good first impression, you should check out First Impressions Barber and Beauty Salon, located at 618 Westwood Drive in Marrero, or call 504-341-6777. Remember, it's never too late to make that first impression at First Impressions Barber and Beauty Salon.
The National World War II Museum. Located in the Warehouse District of New Orleans, the National World War II Museum tells the story of America's experience in the war that changed the world, why it was fought, how it was won, and what it means today. Visit them online at www.nationalww2museum.org for time tickets and safety information.
This is Jackie Jones with Class Act Entertainment. Join us on May 11th at the Honor Thy Mother Theater Brunch in partnership with WBOK at the Jean Lafitte Auditorium. Experience the red carpet with live interviews and photo ops, along with a chance to win a trip to Las Vegas. Highlighting the afternoon is the original stage play, Mama. The finale, live concert with Piano Man G. Get your tickets at 504-491-1179.
This is Andronika Morris, host of Put Housing First. Join us every Tuesday at 12 o'clock, where we will discuss how housing affects every aspect of our lives and what's necessary, what's needed to guarantee housing for all. Join us every Tuesday at 12 o'clock as we dig down deep onto the issues that affect all of us.
New Orleans Friends, you want to know what we're talking about? Tune in every Saturday morning from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. on WBOK for Conversations with Ron Richardson. The topics will always be hot and the conversation will be all the way live. Meet us there. We'll save you a seat. We can also talk about you and your business as a sponsor of Conversations with Ron Richardson. Contact Ron at 504-874-4584 or email him at richardsonronald024@gmail.com for more details.
Hey, Pontchartrain Park. Thanks for listening to WBOK.
Thanks for listening to Conversations with Ron Richardson, live on WBOK, and listen online at WBOK1230.com. Now, back to Ron.
Welcome back, New Orleans. This is Conversations with Ron Richardson on WBOK 1230 AM, streaming worldwide on WBOK1230.com and also on YouTube. And I have the great Sherry Smith on the phone, co-host. Sherry, you still hanging with me?
I'm still hanging.
And I have Tanya and Sonia in studio.
Hi.
How you ladies?
What's up, Ron?
I'm hanging, man. I'm enjoying
What's up, Sherry?
Conversation.
Hey, guys.
Here,
Hi.
touching on a lot of things. Still learning the system here at WBOK, but each week is getting better and better. And I want to thank both of you for coming down and supporting me today during the interview. You as well, Sherry.
Oh, anytime, anytime.
All right. So we talked about your journey with breast cancer and your healing journey and different things like that. So we're going to touch on more positive things. Tell us about your book, I Am Free, and tell my listening audience how you came up with the title and what was the reason for you writing the book.
The name of the book is I Am Free, a gateway of 111 affirmations healing mind over breast cancer. Well, the title of the book is I Am Free, We Freemans.
Yes.
So we had to live up to the name of freedom.
Hence the name
And-
T Free.
Hence the name T Free.
Right.
And so free.
And so free. Sonia is so
So
free.
free, yeah.
I'm T Free.
All right.
So we had to live up to this name, right? The legacy of freedom, the legacy of liberation. And this has been a process of releasing ourselves into the world, our gifts, our talents. And one of my talents is writing. I love to express myself with the pen. I Am Free is a tribute to everybody on the freedom path, especially my father and our ancestors. Freedom. Affirmations is I was introduced to them when I was when I joined the metaphysical community, and how we use I am phrases. It's in the Bible. I am that I am. I am healed. I am beautifully and wonderfully made. I'm speaking of the God that lives in me, and I am elevating and raising my vibration when I do that. And when you do that, you become an alchemical person. You become your own scientist.
Yes.
When you use the power of the vibration of your voice, the throat chakra, which is an energy center in your throat that influences the thymus. Well, no, it's one
That's
of those
the
glands.
thyroid. Thymus gland is like
Okay,
right
the heart. Yeah,
the heart.
Okay.
the thyroid, the voice, the vibration of the voice, and we get to use that rightfully. What else? Healing mind over breast cancer. We know everything begins in the mind, before it out pictures in the physical. So I needed to get my mind right about what I was going through. So I wrote a lot of poetry and affirmations during the process, but the book wasn't birthed until way after, a few years after.
I have to give you your flowers while you're here because to give my listening audience a little more background information on how you and I met. We met through my cousin, Paul. And you always told me to speak my story, tell my story. So in, I want to say 2016, that was when I decided to start telling my story. And I owe a lot to you because you were one of the ones who gave me the courage to fire up Facebook, fire up YouTube, fire up whatever we had going on at that time, and tell my story. So I owe you a lot for that. And you've been supporting me in my radio journey since, I want to say, we met through Claude in 2009. Am I right?
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't know. We met. That's all that
Yeah.
mattered.
It had to be around 2008, 2009. That was my college radio days, the last of them. And you know, she came down, she did the interview, and we've been clicked tight ever since, right? And you've always been that person that has supported me in whatever path I've been on. So I want to thank you and give you your flowers today.
I was just a catalyst.
Yeah.
I didn't do anything but show up. So whatever I said ignited what was going on with you to help you get to the next level. That's what we should be about. Sharing information, sharing our stories, and realizing that we're resilient people. Sherry, what you got to say? Because I know we've been talking.
No, and I was just going to say igniting one another. That's the thing. It's like when we say in our community of passing torch, that's exactly what you do. Your flame ignites another flame. That flame then ignites another, and it continues.
Yes. It's endless. It's eternal.
Yes.
We're all eternal
It's
lights.
meant to be.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's meant to be eternal. That's exactly what, when I hear both of you talking about, you know, reconnecting with ancestors, and that's a very important thing. That root has a lot to do with how those branches will expand and grow. So once that root dies, there's another root that's taking its place, so to speak. So it's a continuous thing. It's the circle of life. To be accurate about it, it is the circle of life. And we are the ones who have to be about the business of making sure that is a quality life.
Indeed.
For ourselves and for others.
All right. So what's next for you, T Free and So Free?
Go ahead, Sonia.
Well, I am always, I call myself a forever student of life, and I'm always seeking more knowledge, more information. And so in March of this year, I completed a certification in aesthetics. So I will be offering facials, waxing, all types of things, and eventually transitioning into the med spa world. So yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Oh, that self-care is so important.
Yes,
Self-care
the
is
self-care.
paramount.
It's self-care, Sherry.
That's it.
It's self-care, Ron. And,
Yeah,
and
it
we're
is.
going to be offering massages as well with that. So, yeah.
All right, man. So all the best to you two ladies, T Free, So Free. Thank you for your continued love and support. Tell the people where they can get in contact with you before we get out of here.
We're on Instagram, House of Ibeji, and that's spelled H as in Harry, AUSOFIBEJI on Instagram.
All right, man. This has been Conversations with Ron Richardson right here on WBOK 1230 AM. Streaming worldwide on WBOK1230.com. Search for us on YouTube, man. And I will see you guys same time, same place next week. Peace and love, New Orleans. Sherry, thank you always for coming through when I need you.
Enjoy the conversation. Let me come in again.
And I'll see you guys next week. Love you, New Orleans. Peace.